And you're nervous?
A little bit.
Why?
Just because I don't know. I feel like I've kept all these secrets, and I've like been so alone in all of this for so long that.
Have people been giving you shit about over the last few years?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as you can tell by the beginning of my report,
yeah.
it tells I've been persecuted and I've been run through the mud, and I've just been hammered by everybody, like the local media, everything, and it's all been lies.
But they say you're a lunatic?
Yeah.
Is that basically what it is?
Yeah,
They're like, we know better than her, and we don't know any. Do you want to tell people like who you are and what you did?
So my name is Alyssa Fusaro, and I saw these issues. But you were on the Luzerne County election. Yeah, and so it sparked me.
Say what it is. Say what the group.
It's the Luzerne County Board of Elections and Registration.
And you were elected to that, right?
I was appointed.
You were appointed
by council.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
start your journey. So let me ask you this. Number one, how did you get on there, and why would you ever want to do that?
So I was lead singer of a band, several bands throughout my life, but I started going down to I actually went to school for communications and broadcast media. I have a degree in broadcast media, public relations, graduated from Wilkes University. And what I did was I started going down to the Capitol during the whole COVID.
The state capitol.
Yeah.
Okay.
The whole COVID thing. And we were invited down.
Is that what we're calling it now? The COVID thing?
Yeah, the COVID thing. You know, some people call it the plandemic. Some people call it whatever. But, you know, I went down there and we would play on the Capitol steps for all of these rallies that they were having.
And a lot of the times it was like people like Doug Mastriano.
Yeah. And, you know, that's how I really started getting into politics was Doug Mastriano.
You weren't even interested before then?
Not really.
Yeah,
believe it or not.
COVID opened everybody up to a lot of shit.
Believe it or not, at one point I was a Democrat.
So was I.
Hardcore.
Me too.
Like not practicing, like going out and like activist Democrat. But I mean, I voted for Clinton. I voted for Obama. And
I voted for Hillary.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
The first time I switched was this guy. He was a really good friend of mine. He came knocking on my door and he said, and this was years and years ago.
Right.
He says, I'm running for council, Luzerne County Council. And you're, you know, can you vote for me in the primary or can you sign my petition? I said, I can't sign your petition. I'm a Democrat. And he's like, well, switch. And
it was just that.
And he goes, yeah. And he goes, okay, let me go through the list. And he goes through this list. Okay. And I'm like, holy crap, I'm a Republican.
Like he was like, where do you stand on this?
He went through this list and I'm like, oh my gosh, I stand with you on all of these things. And that was, so I switched to Republican. And then, you know, COVID happened much later.
Yeah.
And I was actually careful of going down to Harrisburg because I said to my boyfriend at the time, who was the lead singer, we were co-lead singers. And I said, if we do this, we are labeling ourselves. We've never labeled ourselves. You know, we've always stayed middle of the road. We've never labeled ourselves. We were always like, you know, apolitical when it comes to the band. And he says, we're not working right now. I want to have some fun and I want to do this. And these people stand for what we stand for. We need to stand out and do this.
Yeah. And
sure enough, we did. Next thing you know, all the bars are booking us, everything else. And
oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
So we
were working when nobody else was working. Our band was working when everybody else was like, afraid of their own shadow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was
my
good.
hope is that like by this time everyone realizes that what happened during that whole time was not what they were making us believe it was, and the fear that they were putting into us, and
I think the tide's changing on that.
I hope so. I mean, like I mean, you know that I was not treated well. Not that I'm a victim or anything, but like I was like, all I wanted to do was make sure that people didn't get hurt.
Yeah.
And there are people that look at my intention of not hurting people as not following the science or wanting to kill grandmas or shit like that. Yeah. And that anybody that knows me, I hope they know that I would never put people in harm's way. And the thing that like people really need to understand is, like Robert Kennedy said this once because his father told him it, is that people in authority lie.
Right.
And, you know, if these institutions, let's say like, you know, the political parties, the federal, local, state government, and the media, if they were our friends, I wouldn't be friends with them anymore for how long and how many times they've lied to us.
Right. Exactly.
You know, so like you have to have like a healthy dose of skepticism to, you know, be like, oh, they're saying this. Well, they've lied to me in the past quite a few times.
Yeah.
Let's see if they're right, because it's only up to us to figure out whether or not they're lying or telling the truth.
Yeah.
You know? So I applaud you for going to do that. I was still a little bit afraid of being vocal about things at the beginning. But I'll tell you what, man, once I went hard in the paint for it,
yeah.
I mean, every day since I've been called a Nazi, fascist, bigot, sexist, transphobe, Hitler, fucking shit like that.
And they'll attack you. You know, they will. They'll attack you.
I think that's because they're afraid.
I agree.
I don't think it's I think they're so afraid that they're even afraid to like look to see if I'm right.
Yeah.
And I don't claim to be right. You know, one of the first things I tell people is like, don't believe me, but here's what I'm going to tell you, and you could look into it.
Yeah.
And if I'm right, I'm right. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm not going to get a fucking cake because I'm right. Like there's no high five. There's none of that.
Right.
And none of us would choose to do this.
Yeah.
Because it seems terrible.
Yeah.
To like be out there being like, I just want you guys to not like be afraid and don't harm yourselves.
Well, when it first happened, I was deathly afraid.
For the first like the 2 weeks to flatten the curve.
Yeah.
I was terrified.
My boyfriend at the time, I said, don't you dare. I said, you have gloves in your car. Use them, because he works for a Burger King chain. And I was like, put your gloves on before you pump gas.
Yeah, touch the door. Yeah.
You know, before you touch things, you know.
It's crazy how, like, once they're like, look, you have to walk into the restaurant with the mask, but when you sit down, COVID is not below 6 feet.
Right. That
should have been the moment everybody would have been like,
all of a sudden,
what?
Things started not making sense. We're like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like, what is actually happening here?
So, and it was at that time, you know, it's good that we're starting this with the hindsight and the point of view of COVID, because that's when I started to be like, what's up with the elections?
Well, and before we get into that, I just want to say, I think that, and I tell all my friends this, I think the polarization of the parties, okay, Republican, Democrat,
sure,
the polarization happened when we stopped talking. See, we used to go
100% right.
to the bars. We used to go
to the hair salons,
to the church, to the hair salons, to everywhere. And we would talk to our friends. What do you think about this guy? What do you think about this girl?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about this? What's going on with this? And we used to have that dialogue. When we stopped talking to one another, we became so polarized because we couldn't see eye to eye on anything, because we had no conversations.
And it wasn't eye to eye.
No,
it was always through like somebody's taking a shit,
right?
And they're like, well, fuck you, Bob, for thinking that like you want to kill my grandma.
Yeah.
And it was never like, if Bob and I were across from each other, hopefully we could have had some civil discourse and been respectful of each other's opinions. And like that's the whole thing about conversations is like, you're supposed to hear other perspectives, and you're supposed to bring that in. Like most people have empathy.
Yeah.
Most people go like, I didn't look at it that way.
Right.
And we weren't allowing ourselves to do that. And my whole thing on it was that, like, if the people in authority know that that's happening, they have a responsibility to make sure that, like, we're talking to each other. Mm-hmm. But I think they took advantage of it.
I think so too. And they took advantage of the loneliness too, because people were shutting themselves into their homes and not having those conversations, and they were lonely, and that lonely, literally, I think some people went literally stir crazy. Yeah. And I think that was part of it.
But they kept the beer distributors and the weed shops open.
And the alcohol, But
you couldn't go to a bar, hair salon, but you can go to Walmart, you can go to Target. You can go
Lowe's.
And you have to be 6 feet apart, so you can't talk to anybody.
Exactly.
Like I think the country and everybody needs to really have a come to Jesus moment about what went on there. And I don't think that, I'll always respect the person in authority, like a politician or whatever, who gets it wrong and says, "Hey, I'm sorry." Mm-hmm. But no one has apologized yet.
And that's in my report too, because I feel like, there were no retractions. At the end, it talks about that. It says, there were no retractions. There were no apologies. You found out I was wrong, or you were wrong. You knew that these were all attacks, but you just let them go. But before all of that, 2020 happened, and when that election happened, I'm like, things do not make sense here. This does not make sense. Like, with the elections, nothing was, like, things were starting to not, like, add up. All these stories came through of, I wasn't able to vote. I wasn't able
down
to
in Luzerne
do this.
County.
Yeah. So is
that how or why you got on the board? Okay.
That's kind of where I got in. Before that, I had helped run, I recruited Doug Mastriano's base team. So the grassroots base team, I recruited throughout the entire state. And then I went and I started working for another guy.
Well, wait, hold on. So before you move forward on that, what motivated you to be the person who's like, I feel compelled that I have to, like, get a base team for Doug Mastriano?
So he was an advocate for the things we were seeing in COVID. He was
an advocate for the state and federal constitution.
Right. Yeah. So I came out with this No Masks Required group on Facebook. Mm-hmm. And it was a group where you could go.
Which, hold on, for those who don't know, that has ended up being true, and Alyssa knew it at the time that it was true. And you have your medical degree from where?
No, I don't.
Oh, it's interesting. The non-doctor knew. Interesting. Yeah. Okay, keep going.
I went into a supermarket one day, and I had just come from home, and I see Wolf's face on the screen.
Yeah, Wolf.
Yeah. And he says, "You don't have to wear a mask to go out anymore." And I'm thinking, this is wonderful, awesome. I go shoot over to the store like a block away, and I'm not wearing my mask, and I fill my cart, like, had to have been over $300 worth of groceries.
So half a cart in today's money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it was a full cart. I was excited and I was happy. And here comes this a little old lady says, "Honey, where's your mask?" I said, "Wolf just was on the TV. He said we don't have to wear them anymore." And this guy comes barreling angry down the aisle. "Get out of our store."
Really?
Yeah, literally kicks me out of the store. I was so...
Did he work there?
Yeah, he was the manager.
Holy shit.
Kicked me out of Garrity's. I want to also say that this was Garrity's was also the store where that girl went over and
spit on everything,
coughing on everything. So I do want to give him a little bit of grace. Okay.
Well, there's also like the anti-mask people who went real far.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like, I'm going to rub my private parts on everything because, and you're like, all right, well, we don't need to do that.
Yeah, exactly. But I got so
pre-COVID,
upset.
I don't want you sneezing on my shit anyways.
I sat in my car and just cried. And then I went home and I was like, you know what? I'm creating a group of all of the places that I can go, that I know I can go of, and that I don't need a mask. And so I created this group, Northeast PA, no masks required. It blew up. It blew up. It did. There were no masks required in every area, Harrisburg, out west, everywhere. Okay. And you opened the group and pinned at the top of the group were all the places you didn't have to wear a mask to go. And everybody was like, cracked egg out in Pittsburgh. Everybody had these lists of places where you could walk in, you could order a pizza, you could order whatever you wanted, and you didn't have to wear a mask. Okay. And that was like the thing. Everybody flocked to these pages and it was very, very popular. So Doug Mastriano, of course, saw that. He saw the popular, I love that group. I said, yeah, I'm the founder of it. He says, you've got to run my campaign. I'm thinking of running for governor. And that's how the whole thing started, right on the steps of the Capitol. So we went from there and I recruited his base team, moved on from that and helped run another campaign, and then went from there, Teddy Daniels, and then went from...
He's not polarizing at all.
No.
Did you ever see the debate I did between him and Chris Kelly?
No.
You never saw that?
I think I may have.
In Payne's garage?
Yes. Yeah, I think I did see that. That was crazy. But yeah, that was he was extremely polarizing. So it was, he's
not a bad guy. He's
not.
He's just totally rough around the edges.
He's just rough around the edges and very extreme. Yeah. So, his one commercial had him on the back
of the helicopter. Was it the helicopter one?
I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's like Ted, that works in Alabama. Not much up here.
How do I spin this? like in my mind. Like, okay, how do I fix this? Like as I'm watching it, because from a PR standpoint,
you really can't.
You can't. Yeah. So
you got to lean into it.
Yeah. So it was leaned in, but going from that, and then I just decided, and actually, I got onto the board and I, basically filled out my paperwork, and that in itself was a challenge, getting on the board.
The election board.
Because I filled out the paperwork, and when I did, it was a push-pull because there was somebody else that wanted it, and this guy on council had said, well, here's the thing. They haven't appointed anybody yet, so you can get the courts to appoint you. And I'm like, oh, really? So this is a great story. I go to an attorney friend and I said, hey, can you type up the paper? He goes, sure, $1,000. And I'm like, okay, to petition the courts, it's $1,000. How many? Somebody else says, don't worry, I'll do it for free. Okay. So Debbie Bolus.
I don't know who that is.
Well, she's an attorney. So her father's the one with the big truck.
Bob?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So that's Debbie Bolus.
Okay.
She says, don't worry about it. I'll do it for free for you. So she does the paperwork. But in the meantime, the guy that I first approached went and filed the paperwork for his best friend, who happened to be applying to the board as well.
How interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I found out that I Googled both their names together and found out they went to college together at Wilkes University. So I was like, ooh, dirty,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like I was like, he basically wanted to charge me $1,000 just so he could go tell his buddy who he knew was applying.
Right.
So it was quite an interesting thing. And he filed his paperwork first because I was trying to get it back from Debbie. So right. I had a little bit of, you know, so, and it was like a day before I filed my paperwork. So he broke the barrier, but I don't care. It's okay. I still got on. So right. And the basic reason I got on is because the Republicans on council were very upset that he was one of the votes to approve the drop boxes. So they were not happy.
The guy who was trying to get appointed on there?
Yeah, the Republican who was trying to get it appointed on there. Yeah.
So your intention of getting on there was, I'm assuming, to number one, see if there is any misbehavior, and if there is, how do you expose and correct it? Is that safe?
Yeah. Yeah, and
what did you think was like? Look, I always tell people, like, especially people who criticize like politicians, mm-hmm. I'm like, there's a big difference between sitting in the stands and being on the court.
Yeah.
You know, like the world changes once you get in the game.
Right.
So what were your expectations going into it?
I've changed a lot. I was initially very angry. I was a very angry person. And when I first got on the board,
angry in general or angry about the elections?
Angry about the elections.
Yeah.
But it created an angry person because I went in there like gangbusters, like I'm going to change everything.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah,
I'm
blah,
flipping
blah,
tables.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was Jesus in the church for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, I'm handling all of this. And, I got in and realized that it was a lot different than I could have ever imagined. It was very bureaucratic. The board half the time doesn't even know what the bureau is doing. There's a major separation there. So
the board oversees the bureau?
Yes, kind of. They're supposed to, but
okay.
The board doesn't know what the bureau is doing half the time. So, for example, how
many page report did you write?
So I only wrote an 11-page report, but there's so many documents in here to support that it is a 57-page report.
Okay.
So, yeah, not just a little bit. It is a big report, but there's the law is in here and I'm trying to find it. Title 25 section, I don't know, but it lays out the duties of the election board. Okay. In every county. The problem is that Luzerne County has a board of elections that is separate from the council. So okay. Title 25, when it was first written, it was written for a 3-commissioner form of government. Okay. So it was written for a regular form of government with 3 commissioners at top and all of these other people below. And commissioners make the rules for the county, and that's kind of the way it is. Well, with home rule, when home rule came on the scene, Title 25 never changed. So when Title 25 came into play with all these other home rule counties, the home rule didn't affect, it didn't actually reflect what was in Title 25. So then people started making their own rules, administrative code, county charter, all these other things. And they technically...
And this has been happening over time. This wasn't, this wasn't just like a thing that like...
Exactly. And it
2020, everyone's like, oh, we're going to do it this way.
No. And it kind of supersedes the government or the state government, or so they feel. Okay. They feel like they're on top. And so I remember at one point, the Office of Law told me that I was, they said, basically every time it says board in the in Title 25, it actually means bureau. I was like, what?
Yeah, words are important. Why are we?
Yeah, exactly. He was just trying to throw me off of the beaten path.
Yeah.
Okay. And try to trip me up, but which they do a lot. They like to throw legalese at you and, make you
question or doubt or
doubt what you, because before I got on the board, I took it so seriously. I literally took Title 25, printed out an unabridged version of it. I studied. Yeah. I studied. I wanted to know what my responsibilities are. And that's one of the things I have in here is all the duties and responsibilities of the Board of Elections. I get in there and they say, oh, no, that's not your duties. No, you don't have those duties.
Who says that?
The Office of Law, the county administration, whoever you want to talk to, they'll all tell you
but
that.
how do they who's right?
I'm right.
But why do they?
I'm right, but it doesn't matter.
Okay, so explain that to me.
So, for example, I really should get this. Can I take a break real quick and find this?
Yeah, we'll just cut to commercial.
You're funny. All right, I just gotta find the attachment here. There are all kinds of duties and responsibilities that it outlines.
Well, while you're doing that, so like you go in there and you look at the duties and responsibilities and you go, okay, it's pretty clear to me what I'm responsible for, where I can be effective, where I can't be effective.
Right.
And then you get in there, and so the county council's legal people tell you that you're wrong?
Right. The county, the solicitors, yeah.
We just talked about solicitors with Jamie Jamie Walsh on the last.
They think they own everything.
Well, you know what it is, and this is my theory on it. While you're looking for that, is that elected officials don't know what they don't know, and they get into positions like that. And a lot of times, the world doesn't exist in cities and states. There's municipalities, boroughs, villages, townships that have all of these elected officials. Some of them make no money for their elected position, and some of them make like $100 a month for their elected position. Mm-hmm. And the risk isn't there. Like, they don't want to take the risk of doing the wrong thing. Right. So they rely a lot on the solicitor. And you know what it is? It's an easy reallocation of responsibility. Right. Well, the solicitor told me that, so there's nothing. My hands are tied. Yeah. And I don't think that that's true.
No. I think, especially in the case of Jamie, I think that these township supervisors, these township people, they really need to do their homework. Okay. And I'm going to do a wide swing here. Mm-hmm. For example, the case of Joanna Bryn Smith on county council, who is trying to bring in all of these.
I don't know who this is.
She's councilwoman on Luzerne County Council. Okay. And she brought in like this election protection ordinance and also a DEI ordinance. Okay.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion, right, which is not diverse, which is not equitable, right, which is not inclusive.
Oh, it gets bad with that. Yeah. You can like basically, and they made their own, if they pass it, they make their own commission to judge the people and fine them $500 each time they do.
What is this?
Discriminate.
So is this in the county? They're doing this?
Right. Yeah. So you got to look it up. It's
Jesus
hardcore.
Christ.
But the problem is, what she's betting on, now she's an attorney herself, mm-hmm, which begs the question, where the heck did you go to school? Because
probably some sort of indoctrination school. Yeah.
The problem is she's betting that all the new county council members are not going to do their homework and understand that there are already laws in place in order to make sure that this doesn't, you know what I mean? She's betting on the fact that these people won't do the research. Okay. And because they're brand new on council. That's what she's betting on. And the problem is, like, for this election protection thing, what they're planning on doing is if you harass an election worker, you get umpteen fine, you get this, you get...
Who defines harassment, though?
That's part of the problem.
So sometimes it's like, hey, I don't like what you're doing. And some people can say that that's harassment.
Right, exactly. And that's part of the problem is it actually is extremely vague. And it doesn't say what the actual, it doesn't define certain things.
Yeah.
But the problem is in Title 25 election law, it outlines all of the challenges. It outlines all of the harassment things. If you impede the front of a polling place, or you do this, or you do that, or you harass an election worker, it's
very specific.
A felony offense punishable up to $15,000 in fines and 5 to 7 years in prison.
Holy shit.
So you already, the laws are already there. The laws are already in place. The problem is that they are looking at a county level. How are you going to enforce it? If you do a county ordinance with a county fine and you actually go and find someone, or you call the police. Do you know the police can't come into a polling place? Do you know why?
No, I didn't know any of this.
Because it's a state issue. There's a state constable in the polling place. There's a reason there's a state constable in the polling place, because regular local police aren't allowed in the polling place.
I didn't know that.
Yes, and that's part of the problem. You are not doing these county council members that are actually, there's no jurisdiction. You cannot make laws. It's like messing with the state penal code.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, well, I'm going to impose my own fines. Well, you can't do that. And then this other DEI thing you've got going on, it's hardcore. Like, if and I'm not even joking.
And this is solicitor for the new council
in there. So if I decide to be a 6 foot tall black man, you cannot say anything to me.
So it says you can identify as any race?
Any race. Anything.
Wait, they're DEI. Wait, hold on.
I'm not even joking.
Hold on. You can identify as whatever race you want? Okay.
I know. But see what it does.
See, like we say something like this, and there's people that think that, like, us just saying that that's insane, they'll view it as like we're being racist.
No, it's...
You see what I'm saying, right?
It's the complete opposite. Because when I look at a black person or a Hispanic person, or when I'm discussing anything with them, I am celebrating their difference than me.
Yeah.
Okay. If I sit and I say I identify as a 6 foot tall black man, what that does is that diminishes their race.
100%.
That diminishes
who they are
as a person. And that's not fair. It's just like doing it with women.
Sure.
Do you know how hard and long we fought to get our own restrooms back in the 1800s? The reason we needed it is because women were being raped in restrooms. People, they couldn't go to the bathroom and have someone, this was a major problem. Women were getting raped all over the place.
Well, I think that that's a cultural thing at the time. You know what I mean? Not like cultural, but like you accept what you allow. And I think that, like, when people are like, oh, we need to protect women, which is like a no-brainer.
Right.
That what happens is like a good intended thing ends up getting corrupted for other means.
Right.
Like they take this one thing and then they turn it into, like, I mean, look, I think anyone that rapes a woman, like there should be some sort of public flaying.
I agree.
Or caning.
I agree.
But now it's crazy how we've gone from like we need to protect women in restrooms to being 2025 going we need to protect women in restrooms.
Right.
Which sounds insane that we've gone so far around that we're back to where we started.
Exactly. And now, we're going backwards.
And the people who want to protect women are now viewed as transphobes.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
I will tell you this. I hate that transphobe word. You know why? I'm not afraid of them.
Well, yeah, that's what they use with words. They make these words
stupid word because I'm not afraid of anybody like that. I have no problem with them.
I don't care who you are. Don't hurt kids. And
exactly.
And if, as long as you're an adult and you want to do what you want to do, like that's fine, but within reason. Like I bring up this example, and if I walked into a surgeon and said that I don't like my arm from the fingers to the shoulder, will you please remove it? They would look at me as insane.
Right.
So I look at it that way too.
I agree.
And most of the time, like all the studies are out now. Nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to like bring light to the fact that like, oh, for the last like 10, 15 years, like we made an with how we treated people with like body dysmorphia or going through puberty. And now we've allowed like a lot of the times people who, especially kids, like let them get through puberty.
Yeah.
Before you start giving them Lupron or surgeries to.
It's going to damage them irreversibly.
Yeah. And this whole thing, it's like it's such a crazy thing to be like, what is a woman? How is that a controversial question? Like my mom taught health in middle school for 20 years, and all those kids that left her knew what one was.
Yeah.
So like, I think we're like, as people, we're just being constantly bombarded by these fucking crazy ideas that, make everything worse for everybody. And the crazy thing about like what's going on now in the pursuit of inclusiveness, we've become exclusionary. We're excluding people. It's like I'll remember, what was it? Larry Elder ran for governor of California. He's black. In the front page, I think it was like the LA Times was like the black face of white supremacy. And I'm like, we've lost the plot. We're so focused on our differences, and we like. I always look at like the world as like a Venn diagram between like Democrat, Republican, men, women, and everybody's somewhere in the middle of it to certain degrees.
Yeah.
But you can't force people to think a certain way, because I think that's oppression.
Right. Exactly.
Like compelled speech is oppression.
I do agree with that. I do agree with that wholeheartedly. I think people should have their right to speak, but I also think we need to celebrate our differences.
That's what I grew up thinking. It was like
but at the same time, come together as brother and sister.
Well, it's like, no, it's like I have friends from like Ghana and Congo and all these other like crazy countries where like they really did live under oppressive monarchs and warlords and stuff like that. And I'm like, but they agree with a lot of the things that like I agree with, like freedom of speech, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, all that stuff. And they have no desire to instill what they believe on us as a people. I mean, if they did, I wouldn't be friends with them.
We're living in Bizarro world.
You know what? It really is. So I mean, that like people question, like going back to the elections thing, like people questioned it before Trump.
Yeah.
But the moment Trump or anybody who voted for Trump is like, it's not even like no one. I've never seen anybody like. I mean, I have seen people who have emphatically said that the elections are a fraud. And a lot of them with incredibly compelling evidence. But that was all said before Trump, and it's like once like Trump said it became like, once you can't question a thing, it's a religion. Yeah. It's a doctrine.
Exactly.
And if you we destroy you for it. Like I grew up, We watched JFK was like one of the #1 movies when I was growing up, and that's about the conspiracy to assassinate the president of the United States.
Right. And
it was nominated for a Best Picture Oscar. And you can't make that movie today.
No.
Like the thing about America is like, yeah, it's tough. We have tough conversations, like just as much as everyone has a right to, all the things that the constitutions help us for.
Yeah.
You also have a right to be an asshole. There's a lot of people who really take advantage of the fact that like I can say and specifically say whatever I want.
Right.
And we shouldn't like, people think I'm nuts, and it's not because I'm nuts, it's because every time somebody tells me that person's crazy, don't listen to that person. In my experience, that's the person you should go have a conversation with.
Right. Exactly.
And you need to get a perspective on that.
Why do you feel that way?
Yeah.
Why do you, yeah. And
it's not that like,
them. Yeah.
There's this, and the right does it too. I don't like what the right does. The right has this purity test where it's like Bresnahan, for instance, right? Let's just use him as an example. Just because he recently voted for a thing and people are calling him a rhino. There's a lot of like America First people, and like the America First thing is such a pejorative. It's like calling somebody a racist.
Right.
The America First thing is like, maybe we should take care of our house before we start telling other people and giving the money to fix our house to other houses.
Right.
That's all that means.
Yep.
It doesn't mean like you're a xenophobe or any of that shit. Exactly. It doesn't mean you're against immigration. It just means that like maybe the focus should be here domestically, because we have people living in the streets and shooting up fucking drugs and committing suicide at an incredible rate.
Yeah.
But like sometimes you have to vote with the people that you represent, regardless of Democrat or Republican. Some Republicans are like, unions suck. Well, sometimes a Republican has to vote a pro-union bill because that's what the people in their district needs.
Yeah. And
you can't demonize the person for doing that. Like,
that's why I like Fetterman so much.
The joke is that I mean, we all know the joke. He had
thinker.
I think he's a 90s Democrat.
I think he I think he had a come to Jesus moment.
I mean, maybe.
I really do. When he had his strokes, I really feel like he had an encounter with God. And I think that,
I mean, if you really don't take a hard look at your life when something like that happens, because like, holy shit, I almost just died.
Yeah.
Like, take some stock in that, reflect on that, meditate on that for a moment.
Yeah.
That's the thing that like I realized. I didn't have a stroke or anything yet, knock on wood. Hope it never happens. Hope it never happens to anybody. But like, there are moments in your life, I don't want to wait for the thing that puts me on the brink of death to be grateful.
Yeah.
I'd rather just be grateful. And I'd rather just think like somebody like John Fetterman and listen to like what other people's opinions are. Like, look, there's a lot of Republicans I don't agree with.
Right.
There's a lot of Democrats I don't agree with. And the crazy thing is that, like, speaking of elections, the largest political party in the United States is independent, and we never talk about it.
Right.
So the majority of it's almost 2 times larger than the Democrats or the Republicans.
Yeah.
And we don't talk about it, and we don't give them a voice. We don't allow them to participate in primaries. We don't allow them to run candidates. We don't support them.
Right.
Like you should have as much of an opportunity to run for an office as anybody, as Dave McCormick.
I agree. I do agree with that.
And the one thing that like both parties seem to agree on is that they don't want anybody else interfering with the shell game.
Right, exactly, because it'll pull votes away from their candidates.
Or influence or power or manipulation,
Exactly.
It's like the only news that we can listen, like the news we can listen to is Fox News or CNN, and everybody else is a conspiracy theorist.
Right.
Isn't that weird?
I know. It is.
And then you read,
I told you, it's all polarized. It's very polarized.
I think it's purposeful.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I have.
Sorry for ranting on that. It just pisses me off.
I have my theories on that too, and I wouldn't want to get into them and voice them here.
Oh well, another day.
Maybe another
when you're
day.
Feeling braver.
Yeah, we'll voice it later on.
All right, so let's get
a conspiracy theorist. So.
I think it's the default position of every American should be skeptical.
I agree.
Because if you don't question, if you don't question things, they might be right.
Yeah.
But for you to go like, you sure about that? It's that meme. Do you ever see that? Yeah. The guy, you sure about that?
Yeah, I know.
I think we should do that more often.
I know.
Like data centers are bad. You sure about that? Data centers are good. You sure about that? Like, let's just look into it.
Let's look into it.
Let's just make sure we know.
Yeah.
Okay. Back to your congressional document.
Yeah. Sorry.
Did you find what's the code now?
So it is Title 25 election law, PA Title 25 26. Now on my glasses, 2642. Okay. And basically, it gives us powers and duties of county boards. That's the title of it. Okay. So it's the Board of Elections. But if you get in here, let's just take this one right here. To purchase, preserve, store, and maintain primary and election equipment of all kinds, including voting booths, ballot boxes, and voting machines, and I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses.
Do you want to point at it?
Yeah, it's letter C.
Letter C?
Yeah.
To purchase, preserve, store, and maintain primary and election equipment of all kinds, including voting booths, ballot boxes, and voting machines, and to procure ballots and all other supplies for elections.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're not allowed to approve the budget. We're not the election board. It has to go for county council. So how are we supposed to purchase the equipment?
Really?
Yeah.
We
don't have the authority. We don't even have a budget. We can't even disagree with the county because we don't have a budget for our own attorney.
So what's the point of it?
That's what I said. That's part of my. That's in my report. I said I don't even know what this board is for because like you can't. It also says to hire all of the election or to appoint their own employees, voting machine candidates, and machine inspectors. We don't even approve the list of poll workers. We don't talk. How
many people are on this with you?
5.
Both parties?
Total 5. There's the chair, and then there's 2 Republicans and 2 Democrats. And the chair can be any party. Right now, it's 3 Democrats, 2 Republicans.
And they start to instill the desires of their party, regardless of Republican or Democrat.
Yeah. I have to say, though, honestly, I was on the board with Danny Schramm.
I think they get mad at you for doing this.
I don't care. I'm off the board.
Fair enough.
I'm off the board.
Fair enough.
I was on the board with Danny Schramm. Initially, it was Audrey Cerniak, Denise Williams. Audrey and Danny were the most level-headed Democrats that I had the pleasure of working with until it came to our new chair. I do like Christine Boyle. She's level-headed. But then you had others, Denise Williams, who's total party girl. And then you had total,
like she's not when you say party, like when I hear somebody say party
Democrat, like hardcore.
But when I hear somebody say party person, it means that they don't have free thought or critical thinking.
Right, exactly. No free thought, no critical thinking. Not no critical thinking.
I'm not saying that this is her, but like when I hear somebody say that, like a party person, that means that they whatever someone else,
right?
Like you're appointed or elected because of who you are,
right?
As a human, as an individual human,
right?
And once somebody else has infiltrated or manipulated or coerced or persuaded somebody in a direction, that person is no longer thinking for themselves.
Right. She doesn't think for herself. She never thinks for herself.
Well, I mean, allegedly.
Allegedly.
We have to protect ourselves.
Yes. She's
I don't know. In total transparency, I don't know her. I don't even know. I couldn't pick her out of a lineup.
She takes a hard party line. But I mean, at the same time, there have been times in the moment where she has made, and this is how I know she's a party person. Okay. Her and I would have a late night conversation that was fantastic. We would both agree this is atrocious. This is not going to happen. I'm voting this way. Mm-hmm. And I would tell, you're right, Alyssa. I'm voting this way. You're right. You're right. Comes down to the vote. Because between her and I talking and the actual vote, she got a phone call. Or she made a phone call.
You're presuming this?
Presuming, because
allegedly
everything changed.
Okay.
Everything changed at that moment. Like she didn't just do it with me. She did it with several others too. And it's like, whoa, we had a great conversation last night. We agreed on this. And now all of a sudden, where did you go? What did you do? Like that's, so I'm assuming that she talked to somebody or whatever. But back to our duties and responsibilities, it's a shell. It is a shell, and what it is basically just so that they can keep everything legal. Okay? Because they would come to us with a document and say, you need to sign this. I'm like, what is it? The board needs to sign this. I'm like, what? Or the board needs to bring this and put it on the agenda so they can vote on it. Okay, where's the documentation? What are we doing here? But it was all just to keep everything legal. It was never for us. We don't make the decisions.
And some would say it's the most, outside of human beings, it's the most precious part of our country.
Right.
Is the vote.
Right.
And the people who are supposed to look after that and make it wonderful and fair and free are apparently not making the decisions to make it wonderful, fair, and free.
No.
I mean, is that the crux of your report?
The county manager and everybody is the ones that are, yeah. So if you read the one part.
What gives them the authority to do that?
They took the authority through the administrative code. The administrative code gives
when did this happen?
Gives them the ability to do that. And here's the.
Do you want me to read it for you?
No, I could actually read this one. This one's good. Not as bad.
How much longer would your report have been if you actually used larger font?
It might have been a lot. I know I used 11 point and I'm regretting it now. I'm
12's the bare minimum.
I know. But it's no secret that Luzerne County has its problems. We've had the throwing away of military ballots, Papergate, the misspelling of names on the ballots, the wrong files sent to vendors causing ballots to be wrong, and so much more. My purpose is not to belabor the issue. My point is that we need a better way of doing things when it comes down to the elections here in Luzerne County. I think that there should be more transparency and communication with the voters in Luzerne County, not walls literally put up, because they put up all these walls in the, remember 2020 where they papered all the...
Yeah, and they papered the windows?
Yeah, they did that with the election board, but not so much. What they did was they put up all these office walls right in front of the things.
Partitions,
Yeah, the partitions. So the workers come around to the center and then come to the window, but you can't see anything in the bureau office. It used to be a really big wide open space. They closed it all off. And actually, this isn't even the part that I was...
Why would they do that? Because isn't it supposed to be transparent?
Transparency.
Yeah, but they walled it off for transparency?
No, they walled it off so nobody would have anything to question. If there's nothing to question, they can't.
Do you? I've been wrestling with this for like a couple of years, and everyone's heard rumors about election criminality.
Yeah.
Whether it's ballot harvesting or literally fraudulent ballots or blah, blah, blah. Do you the thing about let's say MAGA, whatever the fuck that means, because I still haven't had anybody define it to me, but they're kind of like the spotlights on them for election integrity. It's like whenever whenever someone tries to question a thing from some sort of authority that should be publicly viewable and explained and understood, it seems like there's a pushback. So every time, like, anybody who's had kids knows that, like, if you ask little Johnny the thing and he doesn't want to talk about it, there's probably something there.
Yeah.
And it seems like, especially in government, there's like this fear. It's like this manufactured fear where it's like they're going to lock down, like, for instance, in Scranton, City Hall's locked down. And it's not like locked down, like nobody can get in, but like it's not the way it was. And the pretense for why they did it was safety. And I always ask the question, I'm like, well, who are you protecting from? Like, because you have to have something in mind. You have to have like a group or people or a legitimate threat or something like that. But I think what they do is they do stuff like that is to create the perception that you need to be afraid of a group. Exactly.
So when I went into the election,
like, anyone who questions the election,
right,
Democrat and Republican, is considered MAGA.
Right.
Yeah.
So what happened was I went into the bureau office, and this was in November of 2022. It was right after the election, the day after the election. Okay.
The midterms?
No, this was, I think it was the midterm election.
Okay.
It was 2022. So I go in and I'm watching them unload the judges' bags. Okay. Now you have to understand there's all these people, big long table, and all these people in the front of the bureau.
The judges'
office.
bags are the judge of elections bags.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
In the center, and this was Papergate. Okay.
This is when there wasn't enough paper?
Right. So you had...
Specifically in Republican precincts?
Right. Exactly. So
How the fuck does that happen?
That was a whole nother story.
Okay, keep going. Yeah, sorry.
But you had all these ballots that were stuck in judges' bags all over the place. Okay. So you had provisional ballots, and it was mayhem on election day. I'm not blaming anybody. This was just what happened. And sometimes, like, you're trying to sort through everything, and judges just want to get home at that point. They've worked
sometimes 14 hours
to 16 hour day, and they just want to go home. So they're shoving all of the stuff they find throughout the polling location in their bag. But you have this table out front, okay? And then you have a table in the back. Now, the table out front has all the most experienced people working at it. The table in the back, right next to the director's office, has two women, Hispanic, okay? Because they probably wanted to work with one another so they could talk to each other. No question, no problem there. But they're also the two most inexperienced people working in that, over there. And they're emptying judges' bags. And then you have the others out here emptying judges' bags. So, of course, my focus is on these two girls in the back who have like literally no experience. I've never seen them at an election before. Now, all of a sudden, they're working the election. Okay.
So to a normal person, that's abnormal.
Right.
So you want to pay attention to the abnormal thing. It has nothing to do with who they are, where they are. Right. If there were two white ladies, you'd be like, I'm going to pay attention to the abnormal thing of the people who've never been here before.
You got it.
Yeah.
So now I saw this girl taking, and again, we're very open at this point. The election office is pretty open. I go in to view this because it's Papergate. Okay. I'm like, I'm not taking
Which
any
was earlier
chances.
in the day, right?
I'm like, well, no, that was the day before. So, so this is the next day. So I'm there and I'm watching, and I watch one of the girls throw away a big envelope, which I know to be a judge's attestation form. Now, inside the envelope is usually ballots. So I see her throw this away. I get nervous. I go over to the garbage because I don't want to disturb anybody, and I pull it out. And while I'm there, I'm kind of searching around, checking out other things, nothing else in the garbage. And sure enough, it was a judge's attestation envelope. So I bring it over to one of the girls that works there that's very
experienced. That's something that's signed at the end of the day, right?
Right. It's signed at the bottom. You have to
by the judge of elections.
Yeah. You have to keep these documents.
For the precinct.
Yeah. They have to be kept. They can't be thrown away. But I wasn't sure at that time. So I went over to a more experienced person. I said, hey, listen, they threw this out. Don't you think somebody should be back there working with them? And she's like, yeah, that is not supposed to. She says, go put it in the thing over there. She says, were there any ballots with it? And I said, no, there weren't any. I checked the garbage. She says, okay. So I do that.
But can you imagine asking that question? Were there any ballots there? Which means that like even that person thought it was entirely possible that somebody just threw ballots away.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So now I get on the phone with a county councilman and I said, hey, listen, I just got these two girls. They're very inexperienced. They're standing in the back of the office and they're not, he says, Alyssa, are they sworn in?
Ooh.
And I said, I don't know. And he says, that's your job. Go check. So I go over to the girls and I said, you're staying on the phone with me. I said to the girl, and I remember this like it was yesterday because I raised my left hand when I talked to them, and you're supposed to raise your right hand. So I said to her, to the one girl, I said, hey, are you sworn in? And she goes, I don't know what that means. I said, did you raise your hand in front of a judge and say that you were going to uphold the election process? And she goes, no. And I looked at the other girl. I said, what about you? She said, no. And I said, you did nothing wrong. Just stop what you're doing until I can figure this out. Mm-hmm. And I turn around and I said, no, they're not sworn in. He says, I know, I heard that. He says, I'm going to make some phone calls. You make some phone calls. And then I hung up the phone. I walked back to the desk I was sitting at, and sheriff's deputies come into the office to remove me from the election bureau office.
What?
Yes. Later on, they come out with this scathing report, and me asking them if they were sworn in turned into me asking them if they had working papers. Why would I ask that? They're receiving a paycheck from the county. Like, they asked them for their social security card and driver's license. Why would I ever ask for the working papers? I never would ask that. Me, when I turned around and I said, no, they're not. They said, and I don't want to say the word because the S word for Hispanic people. Okay.
Spanish?
Yeah. Something
super
like that.
duper?
Yeah. So when I turned and I said, no, no, they're not. No, they're not. They're not sworn in. That turned into these S words don't know what they're doing.
Okay.
And
no one witnessed this?
The only reason I have a really hard time with that name is because my son is Hispanic. And
so you're racist.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when he went up to Dallas High School, he would come home crying because they all called him this name. Okay. And it grates through me. It's very offensive. It's very hurtful. And those words would never come out of my mouth.
Right.
But the fact that they said that I said those words hurt more than anything else. Then the media. And then this huge explosion, and then they posted on the internet. And then
who's posting this?
Citizens Voice.
The media.
The media ripped me apart for this. But we're back to what you were saying. They then used this incident to block off the board's access to the office. We needed permission.
Who's they again? Like, we have to define
this
they.
Is the administration. The administration, Romilda Crocamo she used that incident to block off any access that the Board of Elections had to that office before I could swipe my card and I could walk in to the Bureau of Elections. Mm-hmm. But they used that to block off access so that the Board of Elections no longer can walk into the Bureau of Elections.
Everybody.
Everybody.
Or just you?
Everybody.
Did they investigate that?
The other thing is we don't have sure system access. We don't actually have access to the statewide uniform registry of voters here in the state. We're not allowed to access it.
Why wouldn't you be?
We should be. According to the state, we should be. Every board member should have it. Every election board member should have access to the statewide uniform registry of electors, but we don't.
Do you think that did anybody investigate? Did anybody question you or these women about the words that were said? Did anybody question the city council person or the county council person that was on the phone, whether or not he or she heard that?
Yeah, because they tried to remove me from the Board of Elections, and that's when I went in front of county council. If you Google my name, you see this picture of me crying. It's the most horrendous picture.
Well, they always choose the most embarrassing photo.
And what they did, but what people didn't see was me holding the hand of my black pastor of over 15 years in the front row. They sat there and snapped all the pictures. Not one of them made it into the paper.
But they cut that part out.
Oh, they edited that. Of course, because that didn't fit the narrative. You know what I mean?
So wait, so you get accused of saying a word, an offensive word, offensive to some people, and there's a lot of things that are now spinning off of that moment. Did anyone question you? Was there an investigation? Did anybody talk to you?
They could care less what I had to say. They just wanted to rip me apart
because you questioned a thing.
Exactly. And that's exactly what my report says. The moment you question anything.
But that whole thing totally, that whole bureau totally changed.
Yeah.
In that moment.
Yeah.
Like their practices, their procedures, everything.
Everything. They used it for what they needed it to.
Because you asked two women if they were sworn in to have the responsibilities of what they're doing.
Right. Now, here's a kicker. Had I known that Title 25 gives me the authority, apparently I skipped over that part, gives me the authority to swear in election workers, I would have sworn them in right then and there. I didn't know any better.
Okay. Did any other people on the...
Nobody.
No one else knew that
Nobody
either?
on the board knew
that they had the authority to do that?
No, until I started researching it and found out that I did have the authority to swear people in. Then I started swearing people in. We were able to all of a sudden swear people in.
Yeah, for people who don't know, like people who work election day have to do that.
I have changed things. I didn't think I did, but in reflecting, I have changed things. For example, we now can investigate all of the irregularities and the questions, but we have to stay quiet about it. Okay. But now at least we can investigate them. We weren't able to investigate them before. Now we have the authority to swear people in. We were never able to do that before. They had to call a judge in to come down to the Bureau of Elections.
Oh, so you were right.
Everybody
so you were right that you could swear people in.
I was right. But it was all this push-pull and up until that point. And, I think every time I find something or I question something, listen, it's important to note that if any issue or fault is found with the Bureau or administration and this issue is exposed or there is fear of exposure in any way, there is retribution for the individual or individuals who discovered the issue. I note 2 specific instances here.
Now explain that. There was retribution against you.
Yeah, not just me, but other people. If you question anything in the bureau office, you question anything, any practice or something that they forgot or something that they didn't do. I mean, you are, and they make stuff disappear. They make stuff disappear all the time. Like,
what does that mean?
Like, okay, so,
and also we have to clarify they when we say
the administration. If I say they, it's
so the administration are the people that work for the county council.
Yeah. So you have the county manager, and then you've got all of the people. Yeah, like all of the top down, all
county government.
Yeah, county government. So I don't want to blame this on council, because council's has really literally nothing to do with that.
Well, we know there is a separation between the elected officials and the workers.
Yeah. So major. Yeah. So, but when it comes to, okay, and I cite one of the things in my report that, that disappears. Yeah. And I even have it in there. The recording is mysteriously disappeared. Mysteriously cannot be put online. Okay. And they removed the incident from the minutes. And I tried to get it added back in, but I can't because they don't want to add it back in. Okay. But what happened was I knew.
Are you allowed to talk about this?
I don't care.
Okay.
I don't care. What can they do to me?
I have no idea.
I'm gone now. I mean, yeah, they probably could try to come after me for something, but I'm not sure what. I've never been arrested in my entire life.
Well, you're just trying to tell the truth.
Yeah. The problem is I'm not on the board anymore. And I think it's very freeing, to be honest with you, because I'm finally able to talk about these things that I feel like have been pent up for a long time. Mm-hmm. Anyway, in the 2024 election, there was mayhem. Okay. And there were so many people calling into the office because what happened was a lot of people decided to do ballot on demand. Okay. It was a big push for mail-in ballots and ballot on demand. So everybody was going into office, standing online, getting their actual ballot, filling it out, dropping it in the drop box. Okay. These people that dropped it in the drop box are wondering, I just filled out my ballot, drop box, week later, how come it's not showing up as received by the office? It should show up online as received.
Yeah, everyone who does a mail-in can check their status of their mail-in ballot.
Right. Yeah. So we're in adjudication. Okay. And I said to the deputy director, Steve Hahn, I said, and people are concerned about this. So throughout the election, all they're doing is bombarding the office with phone calls, like hundreds and hundreds of phone calls. And those that have my cell phone number are calling me. I have I sat there and talked to 30 to 50 people per day before leading up to the presidential election. I mean, honest to God.
Who were just checking the verification of their ballot.
It's still not showing received. It's still not showing received. So then I turn around, write an email to the office, and then mysteriously it's found. Okay. So why was this happening? And I was told that the SURE system was archaic and doesn't apply to the Agilis machine. Now, the Agilis is the scanner that scans all the ballots, throws it on a jump drive. Then they take that jump drive, they upload it into the SURE system, and it reflects that they received that ballot, that the office received that ballot. And then, therefore, the voter can check and say, oh, here's my ballot. It's been received.
How long does this process take from filling out the ballot and getting it on the jump drive? Like, if you were to do it, if somebody was to do it on their own, somebody who does this, how long is that process?
The scanner scans 18,000 ballots per hour.
Okay.
We don't have that many ballots per hour. Okay. So it's a very quick process. So we get to adjudication, which is after the election. And we're sitting there, and I said, I had a question on the the ballot drop box forms were not filled out properly. Okay. And they never are. All right. Unless the sheriff's office goes and does them because they take it seriously. It's like, this is my job. I got to do this. You know?
What do you mean the Dropbox forms are not filled out?
So,
what information should be on there that isn't on there?
The count of the ballots.
That
how
you
many
pick
ballots
up at the Dropbox.
that were picked up at the Dropbox. 2 signatures from both people.
It's somebody from the elections and the sheriff's office, right?
Right. Yeah. Right. I can show you the form.
No, I believe you.
But here we have the ballot Dropbox form.
Because we have Dropboxes in Lackawanna County too. And that was always a question of mine.
Right. So
because they're supposed to be picked up every day.
Right. And signed off on by 2 people, put in a locked bag.
Because there's a chain of custody.
Right. Exactly. That's what they are called, is the chain of custody forms. And if they're not filled out properly, then
you've broken the chain of custody.
You've broken the chain of custody. Not only that, but there's a locked bag with a little number thing that goes on it, and that needs to go.
Seals it, right?
Yeah. And inside is the number of that seal, right? So that you take it out, you open it up, you take it out. You verify the number on the seal is the number on the inside of the bag. We're good.
It's kind of like in the movies when you see the nuclear submarine who want to launch a missile. It's like, you have a code, I have a code. Do the codes match? Okay, that means we can proceed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That practice is not taking place at the drop boxes on Penn Place. I can tell you that right now. They are not using the bag. They are not signing off on
how does this
But here's the funnier thing. Funnier thing.
They're not verifying.
They're not even faking it.
So what do you mean?
They're not even faking it. There's a signature missing. There's no number of ballots, blah, 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 blah. So I questioned Steve and I said, Steve, these are not being filled out properly. And he goes, yeah, well, we got busy, blah, 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 blah. Are you using the bags? Are you like, what's going on? He's like, well, no, here's what we do. We put it in a bin and then, and he's like, Steve is one of those guys. He's honest to a fault, but he doesn't know he's being like that honest or that there's any problem with being honest, right? So he just you could question him about anything. He'll just so that's what he did. And I said, okay, so you're just putting them in this thing. Now it is a room with a camera focused on all of the ballots, so you could see them coming into the room, that they're going from one place to the next, and so there is monitoring that way. But the funny thing is, then I said, so you're putting them into that room and not running them through the Agilis machine? No. Now, earlier that election, I was told by Emily Cook, oh, they're all being run through the Agilis. As soon as we bring them upstairs, they're being run through the Agilis. And then, but we're having a problem uploading from the Agilis to the Sure system. $300,000 machine, by the way, that they promised would integrate well with the Sure system, and that they already had access to our systems and everything was peachy keen. But no, now all of a sudden it's not. Here, that wasn't the problem at all. They were never running them through the Agilis. You had hundreds of people calling that office looking for their ballot, and all you had to do was run them through that machine that processes all those ballots.
The process is $18,000 an hour.
You got it. But yet you couldn't do that. So that's why. And if it were me, I would have had somebody dedicated directly to that machine the entire election.
Why wouldn't they?
I don't know. It's beyond me. The only thing that comes to mind, honestly.
But nobody told you why?
No. Here's the thing.
Well, when you said, wait. So when you asked them that and they said no, did you go, well, why not?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We had the recording at that time. They mysteriously cannot upload adjudication to the adjudication recordings to the website. It's lost now or whatever it is, but nobody can hear the adjudication meetings. They took the minutes, mysteriously don't include those comments from Mr. Steve Hahn. So, and that's in my report.
What do you think is going on? You're one of I
don't think there's any major conspiracy behind
I don't think so either, but there needs to be something that explains, is it just
I just think there was a lack of, so I think you had two major problems with there. You had a lack of you didn't have enough personnel. Okay. Because they didn't have enough personnel at the time. Honestly, they really did not. And then on top of it, you didn't have, you had an inexperienced director. She was fairly new at the time. And I feel.
Yeah, but it seems like they've changed directors over the last 5 years a couple of times.
Yeah.
And it seems because I forget, I think I had John Lombardo on to talk. And I'm like, well, why isn't there practices and procedures that they have at every Starbucks, every fucking Blockbuster video? So if, God forbid, the comet hits and you lose your manager or your CEO or whatever, everybody knows what is expected of them and what needs to be done and timelines and all this shit. How does... Are they appointing friends? My theory, my philosophy on elected officials is you elect the prom king and queen, and then what they do is they bring the cool kids table to come run everything.
That's
who
Romilda.
Shouldn't be running shit.
That's Romilda Crocamo. She has filled,
but she can't be
all these positions, the administrative positions, with all of her friends and family.
Who's there to vet that?
Not family. I'm sorry. I don't think there's any family, but I know there's lots.
Well,
I
mean, in I don't know this woman.
Yeah.
And in their defense, there's a lot of times where it's people are you can't swing a dead cat around here with hitting. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Scranton is the type, where I'm in Scranton, it's the joke is you either know them or you're related to them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's there's always some sort of connection to somebody somewhere.
Yeah.
So I don't want to make it seem it could entirely be true. That's what happened. Yeah. But how does this is the most precious thing that we do. How is it treated it's a Baskin Robbins with all the high school kids running it?
I have 20 people in this report that didn't even get to vote. They were registered way before election time and they never got to vote. I have a 97-year-old man who came up from Florida, Democrat. I don't care who you are, Republican, Democrat.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. I'm going to go to bat for you because I believe in your right to vote. Okay. Yeah. And 97-year-old man comes up from Florida, decides to go to Senator Lisa Baker's office, goes there to make sure that he can vote because he doesn't have his ID. So he got concerned. I don't have my ID yet because I haven't my Pennsylvania ID because I just came up, but I want to register to vote in Pennsylvania and get this processed. So he goes to Lisa Baker's office, uses his social security number in order to register. Never got registered. He's still not registered to this day.
How?
I have lists of 20 people that never got to vote because in the presidential election that registered in September.
How, do you think there's more?
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. There's got to be tons more that I never got reported to. These are just the people who reported to me. It's a mess. It's very disappointing. It's very upsetting. But yet nobody, the other problem is, and it happened to Joe Grantede too. He got attacked. They will do
the pizza place.
No, Joe Grantede. No, he's a good friend. He's a Republican down in Luzerne County that he spoke out at a meeting. And because he spoke out, all of a sudden he sits down and everything's fine. And then all of a sudden, And we didn't call security. But all of a sudden, security comes in and lifts him out of his seat and tries to bring him out of
I think I saw this.
Yeah.
Wasn't like Scott Pressler there or something for that?
No, he wasn't there at the time it happened.
What did he speak about?
He was speaking about I don't even remember what he was speaking about. It was like, probably knowing him, he was speaking about something true. But I mean, for example, the other example is Morelli. Rick Morelli, absent at almost every single adjudication meeting, everything. He's never there. Never there.
Who's he?
Good friend with Romilda.
But what does he do? Like, why would he be there?
He's part of the board of elections, but he's never there. It's like,
why is he there? Why is he on the board of elections if he's never there?
Because he's Romilda's friend and she needed an in on the board.
I mean, we can't verify those things.
I can. They're best friends.
I know. But like,
cut it out.
We have to be careful about like.
Cut it out. It's fine.
So why, like, isn't there something in like the I don't even know if there's practices and procedures anymore, but isn't there anything in there like if you miss a certain amount of meetings or whatever, like you've lost your ability to be on the board? Because I know like even for elected officials around here, like if you miss X amount of consecutive or total, like you've basically abdicated your responsibility.
For what? For a sham board?
True.
I mean, that's the way I felt at the end. I felt like.
So you went in all fire and in the gut, and now you're leaving totally destroyed, or what?
Yeah. I feel like, what was my purpose? And, I wasn't the only one fired up. I had a whole bunch of people around me that were fired up. And their joy and their excitement and their everything was killed as well.
To get in there and try to do the right thing.
Yeah. It just feels like I ended this and, I was doing it all alone because the one Republican that I had on the board with me felt like he was just catering to them. He was catering to either the county manager or catering to the Democrats. And it just felt like I couldn't even get his support in anything. That was Rick Morelli. It was like, it was just something that I felt like
you're on an island.
Yeah. Completely alone, completely on an island. I'll be honest, when I had, there were other members of the board that were unbelievable. They were right there with me. And if nothing else, they were backing me up, or I was backing them up. Often there was this one guy, I don't want to mention his name, but.
Oh, now you're not mentioning names?
Because I really like him.
Yeah. We can't only mention the names of the people we're annoyed with. I don't think you should mention anybody's name. I think you should be real vague.
I should be vague. But he, to be honest, oftentimes because I was so hot under the collar so many times during meetings and stuff like that, I would go to him with my ideas or my things that I wanted to discuss, and I would give it to him.
Oh, to be the one.
Because he would present it with grace.
And you're not graceful, or?
I have grown.
You're a little piss and vinegar a little bit, yeah. I've
grown. I'm not like I used to be. I used to say everything would come out of my mouth without thinking. I was just like,
there's a passion there.
Yeah. But if I think you catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. And I think that, I went before county council the other day and, about this election ordinance they wanted to put through. And you know what, in the way I spoke, and I think God had a lot to do with it, because I prayed beforehand. Mm-hmm. And I think that in doing that, I'm looking out at all these people and I'm speaking to them, and they're sitting there going like this. in a room full of Democrats, but they're sitting there agreeing with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that in presentation and being able to present things a certain way, you are able to catch more flies. Okay. Yeah. And you're able to catch the attention and keep the attention. I think if you go in there and you blame and you speak out and you attack one or two people or whatever else, you lose the entire room. You lose the entire crowd.
Yeah, it's weird how that happens.
Yeah. So
and the people on your side are like, go further.
Yeah.
And the people who you're trying, like, you already know where they're at.
Yeah, I know.
You want to persude people that you know, that you're saying something that they should pay attention to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I think that we need to examine, even though, and even Joe is a perfect example. I had a conversation with him and I'm like, you know, Joe Grantede.
Oh, okay.
The one that was arrested. I think his trial's coming up too, by the way.
That's insane.
I know, it really is. And they're going forward with it. They're just,
well, there's nothing better than a government that just really puts the boot on the neck
when I tell you they'll attack you. When I tell you they will attack you. I'm not joking. They will attack you. They will make an example of you. They will do everything they can to hurt you.
But does anybody ever like just sit and like, why is it that public comment or in a public meeting or something like that, why is that the time to have the conversation? Like, why is, like, I've noticed this around here. There's a lot of people who like go to our city council, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, prior to 2020, I'd be like, they're all fucking crazy. Yeah. And now I'm like, there's a lot of validity to even the ones who everyone kind of like casts aside as crazy to what they're saying. Like, there's a lot of truth there. And I've always, like, over the last 5 years, I found it really disconcerting to, like, as an elected official, to not be like, you know, it's there's a lot of people that take credit. That elected officials don't take criticism well.
Mm-hmm.
They get really butthurt about it.
Yeah.
And, you know, unfortunately, like, you bought the ticket, you got to take the ride of public criticism because that's the only place they have to go. But it would really benefit a lot of these elected officials to, like, even their harshest critics, you know, to take them out to lunch.
Yeah.
And have a conversation with them. Because at the end of the day, what I really think happens with a lot of just regular Americans is they have nowhere else to go. They have no one else to talk to about their grievance.
Yeah.
And sometimes I've seen it before where it's like they just want somebody to listen to them. They know that probably nothing's going to get done.
Right.
But they just want somebody in a position that can listen to them, and I think once, like, you open yourself up to that, once you let your guard down a little bit to talk to people who might disagree with you, it's the best way to lower the temperature.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, like, I've seen these meetings, especially at, like, Luzerne County and whatever, and it's like, and I'm sitting there going, like, any one of these council members can take the person who's aggrieved and say, hey, next week I'm free. If you want to go get a drink or something on a Friday or something, or, you know, sit in a park, which is weird, but, like,
yeah,
something about nature that makes you not want to fight each other.
Yeah.
And they don't do it. Like,
I know.
Just as a politician, it would be so much easier for them to sit down and have a nuanced conversation and listen more than you talk. And
I think on the flip side of that, if someone took these crazy people, because I used to be one of them, you know.
You still are.
Yeah, I am.
Never get rid of your crazy hat. It's there for a reason.
But on the flip side, if someone took them and sat them down and really said, okay, I know you're fired up. Let's talk about actually making a difference with what you say and presenting them with a way to say it the nice way instead of...
Oh, you're talking about the performance of it.
Yeah. Because the performance has its...
There's a value.
A value to it. It definitely has its value. But at the same time, when you can influence people, I've just found, especially recently with the changes I've made with myself, I found just making a difference in that vein and being able to talk calmly and get through to people the right way.
Well, that was one of the things that, like, it took me so hard to, like, you know, because I was a pussy hat wearing liberal. And once I, and look, I'm not really like a Republican. You know what I mean? It's just like your side seems less crazy.
Yeah.
And one of the weirdest things that I found was, like, when I started going to, like, because I've had Republican friends and, you know, politicians who I'm friendly with, and they ended up being really good friends to me. Once you started going to those get-togethers and whatever, you started to notice, like, the truly inclusive group out of the two corrupt groups is the Republicans. They'll accept anybody.
Yeah.
As long as you're, like, a conservative. I've met people who I'm like, I don't know how. I guess we welcome everybody, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
But when you sit down and you talk to them, like, they're fired up. Like, they're like 1777 Americans, where they're like, fuck you, and
yeah,
you know. But the truth is like, a lot of them are just afraid, and they're afraid for good reason. They see things happening, and, you know, they're not patient. Change happens glacially. It moves real slow. So they get frustrated and they get real pissed off because they feel like they're screaming into the abyss and no one's listening to them. Mm-hmm. That's why, like, just talk to them. Like, you mentioned Bob Bolus earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone that hates him has never talked to him.
Yeah, no, I know.
They've never, like, yeah, he's rough around the edges. So's a lot of people.
He's a real sweetheart.
Everyone that hates him has never donated turkeys to people to eat on Thanksgiving or Christmas.
I know.
And it's like, yeah, you know where you stand.
Yeah, exactly.
He's the kind of, he doesn't pull any punches. He tells you exactly how he feels. Some of it's a little theatrical.
Right.
But, like, he's a good guy. He's always been a nice person to me.
Yeah.
He's called me terrible things sometimes too, but like, I think it's part of, you know, that guy's a veteran. He went and fought in Vietnam, and
yeah,
you know, like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, the guy that, like, people, like, we're supposed to be like, oh, these are the people that the values that we hold on to. You know, Bob has never asked for. Bob speaks, and certain people hear what they want to hear.
Yeah,
they don't hear what he's saying. And that's a lot of people. Yeah. Like, there's a lot of Bobs out there, and it's just easy. It's easier to make them the enemy than it is to actually to listen and maybe admit that, like, they got some points about why things are so screwed up.
Yeah.
And like, the fact that people treated you that way, you know, and you're just searching for the truth. You don't seem like the type of person where you're like, if somebody was like, well, here's why we do this, here's why we do that, and you'd go, well, fuck you. You don't seem like that person. No. You know? And you're like, oh, if you didn't agree with it, well, let's change it so we can make it more fair and more.
Yeah.
How many, this is totally speculation. None of this is probably provable without some sort of deep dive that no one is willing to do, or the people that are willing to do it will be attacked from every angle, northwest, south, and east. What is there fraud in elections? Because that's what you wanted to find out, right?
Right. And I feel like I didn't get anywhere. I feel like there was definitely fraud. However, they're somehow changed on the back end in computer systems. Okay. I don't access them. I can't help with them. There are things that I've noticed that, and one of them is outlined in my report. There's, the old director. He works for Election IQ. It's a company that comes in and audits audits.
Wait, the old director for
bureaus.
the election bureau?
Yeah, Mike Susek.
Does he work there now, or did he at the time?
No, he did, I believe, in 2020. I'd have to look back. I don't know because I wasn't.
That seems like a conflict, doesn't it?
What do you mean?
Like a conflict of interest to work for...
He left the election bureau
to go work for them?
To go work for Election IQ. Okay, now the county...
That's weird.
The county decides we're going to hire Election IQ...
Afterwards.
Mm-hmm. To help us with elections. And this is a section of my report.
Can you read that, or you want me to?
I'm going to read it.
Okay.
I can read it. During several elections now, I have entered the Bureau office on election day and noticed Mr. Michael Susek, former director of elections, working on a computer in the election office. First, let me state that Mr. Susek was one of the most capable election directors that I've ever worked with, and I do agree with that. He was extremely capable, extremely well-versed in elections, and very, very competent. I really do believe that. I also understand that we as a county have hired the outside consulting firm that he currently works for to help with our election process. And I don't take issue with this. However, I do, have concerns with him or his agency having access to our computer systems on election day. Anytime I have seen any firm or agency working in the County Election Bureau office, Dominion, any of them, like there's quite a few that come in, okay? They have worked on their own laptops other than their initial programming of the tabulators and marking devices. They all work on their own computers, okay? And away from our computers. They're literally at a table kind of like this, okay, in the center of the bureau. I am in no way making accusations, as I do find Mr. Susek credible, but I don't feel that this practice lends to the integrity of our election process. And I don't feel that somebody should be tinkering around in our computer systems. I'm not saying that he did anything. I really am not, because I'm not really computer savvy when it comes to certain things. Mm-hmm. And if you sat me down and said, Alyssa, write a line of code, I have no idea where I'd even start with. I think it's C:. I don't remember. I remember a little bit from back in
That's DOS.
Yeah. MS-DOS. I remember a little bit, but I don't remember much. And I can't imagine even knowing that stuff. But I have an issue with people being on our computers in the election bureau. I don't think it's appropriate.
Who should have access to those?
Just computer, or just our IT people. Our county IT people who have been sworn in, who are...
Oh, these people aren't sworn in working on computers.
I don't know if Mr. Susek was sworn in.
What do you... Have you ever heard of the machines being wrong?
Yes.
In Luzerne County?
Many times.
The machines were wrong.
Yeah. For example, there was this one time where, and I do believe it was a programming issue. Okay, but they read Democratic ballot instead of Republican ballot during the primary. Dominion. That was not our fault. That was the fault of Dominion.
Dominion, the company that was just bought for like $1.2 billion.
Yeah.
That sued one case against Tucker Carlson or Fox News for like $700 million.
Yeah, we're not actually using them anymore.
Why not?
As of this year, we'll be using a different a different company, which I agree with. We're going back to paper ballots.
Are they?
Yeah. It's all paper ballots and the polling location. The scanner is different. But yeah, and I couldn't be happier with that. I think it'll cause less confusion, cause less issues. The write-ins will be a lot easier. Write-in, like if I were to write someone's name in, it'll just scan it. It's so much easier. So much easier. So I think the voters will be happy, less skeptical. I think the Bureau will be much happier. It'll be like a lot easier to process.
You have a hypothesis that there's some sort of, what's the word? Something dishonest happens after the ballots come in. Is that your hypothesis? When it gets to the computers? You could be wrong, but you have a hypothesis about that. Because you said it before. You said, I think something happens after they come in.
Yeah, but I can't put my finger on it.
Is it just a feeling?
Yeah.
What makes you have that feeling?
So, do you know who Tony Shoup is?
For some reason, it sounds familiar, but I don't really.
Audit the Vote.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Wait, is that the one who the mules?
Yeah. Well, she was part of it,
okay.
But she didn't really have anything to do with that. She had more to do with the. I don't know if she was in that movie or not. I don't remember. But the bottom line is that she put out a report. And it went county by county showing numbers that were switched. And Luzerne County was one of them.
And when you say numbers that were switched, what does that mean?
Like votes that were switched.
How do you know that? How does she know that?
They were, they found them coming from a different, like an outside, like a different country.
Is it the Germany thing or something?
I actually,
like Venezuela.
I actually thought it was Venezuela. Yeah. And China. There were a couple transmissions from China.
And this goes on the hypothesis that like as much as they tell you that like machines and networks aren't connected to the internet. Right.
But see, there's something that goes in and that's the thing. Nothing is and that's part of the problem is I watched the card. And we're just going to do one, okay? Because they come flying in. I watched the vote card come in from these polling locations, okay?
Now, what's the vote card? I'm just asking these questions because sometimes people don't know what they is.
So the scanner, when you scan your ballot at the location, it tabulates all the votes in the scanner, okay? And then there's a memory card that's in that scanner. Okay. And they take that in that tabulator. Okay. It's a scanner / tabulator. Tabulates the votes.
So like an SD card?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Sort of. It's like a little bigger, but pull it out. And when it comes to the Bureau office, because all the judges bring them back that night, then it gets handed off to one of the computer guys. The computer guy.
Now that on that card, you know what precinct and ward.
Right.
Okay.
It's actually labeled on the outside too.
Okay.
But it comes in and that goes into a special card reader. That computer that he is on does not connect to the internet. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It has no capability of connecting to the internet. Well, I mean, it sure has capability, but it's turned off. You're not able to. I don't know.
But like, there's a lot of times when they say you're not supposed to do a thing.
I know, but I do. For the past 4 years, I've been sitting there watching it. Okay, but I don't know for sure, like certain things. So I'm sitting there and I watch him do it, and then he takes all of his results and he puts another jump drive into that computer. And all of those results come down onto that jump drive. He actually tosses it across the room to the other IT guy, who then has the computer that goes onto the internet and puts it onto the internet for everybody to see. So it tabulates it. It could be a dog and pony show. I don't know. Okay. It could be stuff. I'm not even allowed to get close enough to those computers. They let some outside agency work on our computers, but I can't even get close enough to view whether that is on, if that little thing in the corner has internet or not. I'm not allowed to come close to it. You know,
Who are the people who take these cards?
What do you mean?
Well, who gets the first card and who gets the second card?
IT personnel.
From the county?
Yeah.
That work for the county?
Yes.
365 days a year, or just on election day?
No, they are IT personnel that are designated to the election bureau.
And they work 365 days a year with the election bureau?
Yes.
What IT needs to be done for all the other 363 days that
a lot.
Why?
I don't know.
Yeah, but like, doesn't that seem peculiar? Where it's like it used to be that like you literally circled the oval in at the end of the day, at the end of the election day, people counted them.
I think that
there was a paper trail for everything.
Yeah, I know, but there's like Sure System access and stuff like that.
But you're telling me that the Sure System sucks.
Yeah, well, it doesn't really. That's what they tell you. Okay, the Sure System's fine. The Sure System's fine. It's been working for years. It's going to continue to work. It's just that that's what they tell you, so that they had an excuse for why they weren't scanning ballots into the Agilis machine and uploading them to the Sure System.
How many different election machine companies are in Luzerne County? Dominion's one, obviously.
No, they're gone.
They were.
Yeah, they're done.
Like
now we have this huge warehouse that doesn't need all those machines, but wasteful spending. I'm sure they'll use it for something else.
There's a documentary. Hold on, let me find the name of this. Right.
The space was needed for all those machines, though. I will tell you that it was crazy. We had to have climate control, everything. It was crazy.
So there's this documentary called Kill Chain. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't.
So Kill Chain came out in 2020. The cyber war on America's elections, right?
Yeah.
It's on HBO. I don't know if you have HBO streaming, whatever.
It's okay. I can get any movie. I
don't want to know how you do that. But it goes through, because so documentaries are not made. Historically, they're not made that year.
Yeah.
So this is a documentary that was a couple years in the making, because at the time, Democrats thought the elections were not safe and fair.
I did hear that.
And what they found was all of these issues with all of these machines, and no one can get their hands on a machine except, and this is what reminded me of it, was you said you have a warehouse now of machines.
Mm-hmm.
They went to a warehouse full of machines and they weren't being used, and they found them on like eBay and they bought some, and then they brought it to like this hacker convention, and a guy that they've never met hacked the system in like 90 seconds.
Yeah.
With like his phone.
Yeah.
And the whole purpose of it is like, they tell you these things aren't connected to the internet. There's the 5G card or whatever.
So I will tell you this. That was part of my conspiracy too, and part of my thought process when it came to the scanners. Okay, scanner tabulators, because that's the only place it could actually happen, right? Because
so I want to explain this too. Like, what people don't realize too is like when these ballots get scanned, there's an image taken of them.
Mm-hmm.
So every ballot that goes through there is literally like, I don't know if it's a JPEG or a PNG or whatever, but there is an image of the ovals filled out,
right?
Just like a photocopy.
Not with ours.
They don't do the ballot images?
No. So what happens is...
Holy fuck.
I'm telling you.
Because that's part of the chain of custody thing. You can go back and verify.
What happened was, you would walk in, you would check in. That's one computer. Okay. That would give you, we used to have ES&S. Okay. That was the one company. And what it would do is we would check in. Now it is, I forget what it's called.
I don't care about the specificity of who the company is. It doesn't matter.
But there's a new company that does it. But anyway, you would check in and then you would go over to a ballot marking device. It was like a big iPad. Okay. And you go up to the iPad and it gives you all your options and you select all your options.
This is in the
polling place.
Yeah.
Okay. And then once you select it and you click submit. Okay. And you could go back and review or whatever. Then down at the bottom, it would print out your selections, super tiny, but it would print out your selections. And then there was a UPC code at the top. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And once you got that, then you would bring it over to the scanner.
What?
And
wait, that's how you guys vote in Luzerne County? This is how you vote?
Yeah, not anymore, but yeah. And then you would put that in there and it would tabulate all your votes.
What? Okay.
Yeah.
And how do you trust that UPC?
That's
that code, that QR code, I mean.
That was always a question mark for me. That was always a major question.
Why would you even add that?
It does have like the little printout of who you voted for.
Sure, but that doesn't matter.
But it doesn't matter. It could change it between that
and the terms of service for iTunes. Nobody reads that. Who gives a shit?
I know. So for me, that was a big question. There were other questions that I had, but I don't want to it's very hard to speculate because I hesitate because I don't know sometimes the ins and outs of certain things.
Well, was there some things that you were absolutely sure you were going to find and then it got explained to you better and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's the other thing I wanted to tell you. So I go into the warehouse. The Dominion guy was there. Really nice guy. And believe it or not, very right wing. And he took us down to view that we were the new members of the board, but we all wanted to view them. So we go and he shows us the tabulators. He shows us how everything works. And then he brings us down to the basement of the warehouse where there's, the actual tabulators. Sorry. The other one was the
voting machines?
The marking device. Yeah. The ballot marking device. Downstairs was the tabulators. So he took us and there was this big sea of tabulators. And he says, and he shows us the tabulators. And I said, I walk over to one random tabulator. And I said, could you open it? And he says, what do you mean? I said, can you open it? Show me where the modem goes. He says, there's no modem in it. I said, show me where it goes. And he literally opened the machine and opened this inner piece. And he says, that's where it would go, right there. And
why is there a slot for one?
And that's what I asked. And he said, because in remote areas, especially in Minnesota,
especially in Minnesota.
I think it was Minnesota. It might have been Wisconsin. I don't remember.
Yeah, either way. Yeah.
It was some place with like really, really far in between their polling locations and their actual polling places. They did have to
big counties.
Right. They did have to transmit results to the county.
Do they operate on Wi-Fi?
I don't know that. I don't know anything when it comes to that. I'm going to be honest.
I might have to do a future podcast where we talk about, where I get somebody in here to talk about how that works.
Yeah, because that's something totally outside my realm. But I did ask that, and that's what he that's what he said. He said, like,
but why wouldn't you just have a special machine for the rural places? It's like if you're a county that holds elections and you go, okay, we need like 3 or 4 that would be the rural ones, or maybe 20, like whatever it is, right? That way, like, you reduce your chances of criticism for people who are like, wait, what's going on here? Like, like my phone constantly gets stuff that I don't ask for.
Right.
And it takes stuff from me that I constantly don't ask for.
Right.
So why would you have all these machines, even if it's the most minimal of signal, the access is there?
I would think,
like, for anybody who's like an election integrity conspiracy theorist, because now that just means regular. Take away the thing that would make you think that that's there. It's like, here, not only is there no modem, like, we've removed everything in there. This thing is just basically a dumb shit that counts and spits out what the count is.
Yeah.
I don't know why they don't, like, there's no Ethernet hookup. There's nothing.
That's what's coming. That's
Ethernet?
The new, no.
Oh, no, just like a stopgap.
That's this new machine that we have.
Why wasn't that there from the beginning?
That was actually the former county manager that made the decision to purchase. He didn't even go to council to purchase it. He purchased it himself. He was like totally like Gestapo, like, I could do whatever I want. Like, he just went and purchased all the Dominion machines, signed the contract without county council and everything. That's
how can you do that?
That's what I heard. I don't know much about him, so I don't know the whole details or anything. But yeah, I heard he's the one that purchased them. And do
you think we've been going like 2 hours now? I'm
trying to even feel like it.
I know, right? I try to keep them at 2 hours now because people are giving me shit. They're like, it's so long. So do you think that, like, look, I think you're like a hardcore American, right?
I try to be.
I don't like, but you're just a person that's trying to, like, you just want honesty. You just want truth.
Yeah.
And you expect it from people where it should be.
Yeah.
And, the thing about, like, the elections and the election integrity, it's like, if you don't want people to question elections, don't put all those things in there that make people question elections.
Yeah.
If it's just like circle the oval, like, nobody really questioned. I mean, there were ways to screw around with the old machines that you had to pull the lever. But that was real hard to do. That was a lot more difficult. So a lot of people would mess with the votes, like, after they were counted.
Yeah, but do you know what happened to that after, though?
After the machines? Or the lever machines?
Those lever machines, do you know what happened to the votes?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so, and I heard this, okay? They had people going around to each and every, there were tables, and each one tabulated a different vote. And so people would be going around and saying, 1 vote for this, 1 vote for that, 1 vote for this, 1 vote for that. And they would go around the courthouse rotunda and they would sit there and tabulate the votes that way. So there was way more ability to screw up. And
because it was just words that were said out loud.
Yeah, it was just like, It was from what I understand, it was really bad.
there was a county commissioner in the early 70s who they actually somebody went into the election the ballot room when they returned the ballots and fell through the ceiling. It was like a big news story.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm supposed to have him on to talk about it. But, like, literally, like, in the 70s, like, they found people who were messing with the ballots, and, like, insofar as, like, the guy fell through the ceiling into the ballot room.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, like, people screw with elections all the time.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, you got to find a way to make it as honest and truthful as possible. Everybody who goes out there and sneaks, does the ballot harvesting stuff, like, that people go to, like, the nursing homes and the public housing places, and they basically tell people how to vote.
Yeah.
And then they take those ballots and they just bring them back, and they feel like they were,
I had an activities director of a nursing home literally admit it to me.
What'd she admit?
Because during my other job, I'm an emergency medical courier.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to all the nursing homes. I was at 3 last week. and I deliver medications for them. So there's like these activities directors, they're the ones in charge of these things. And she goes, I said, so how do you deal with it? Like, they didn't know that I was on the Board of Elections in Luzerne County. And this wasn't, even in Luzerne County, this nursing home, but I have been to all of them in Luzerne County. And I'm like, how do you deal with like those who get the ballots and can't vote? She goes, oh, we just tell them what to fill in.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So
like, we all know what's happening.
But there's no control over that. Like, what control do I have?
I think it's elder abuse.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think it's fraud.
Absolutely. They want to vote for Nixon.
Is Richard still on the ballot? Like, yeah. I think they do that.
Put me down for Nixon. Put me down for Reagan.
I think they do those things, and I also think that they. No,
I know they do that. Yeah.
And I think that like there's a lot of places like certain homeless shelters and stuff that have like 80 or 90 people registered to vote there.
Oh yeah.
And that is a problem that people should be looking into. Like, I think like. And I tell people all the time, like they call me like an election denier or whatever, but I'm like, I don't care if the Democrats get 99.2% of the vote, as long as it's legit. UPS
in Wyoming has like, I think 30 people registered to vote there.
At the UPS facility?
Uh-huh.
There's a place in town
Wyoming
that has at least 90 some people registered to vote there.
Yeah.
In Scranton.
Yeah.
And there's no one lives there.
Yeah, no.
This happens all over the country. It's not like an isolated thing to here. So if it's happening here, it's happening in other places too. And a lot of the times when you see stuff that's happening in other places, you have to make the presumption that like it's entirely possible that it's happening here.
Right.
And one of the things that like bothers me about like you said with the nursing homes and stuff like that, it's like, I didn't know this, but many moons ago, like Democrats and Republicans would pick like a person, they would each go into the nursing homes and it's usually through like the manager, like you said, the activities director that like lets everybody in. But now they won't let Republicans in.
Mm-hmm.
It's all D's.
Yeah.
Those are the only people going in there getting their ballot. Hi, Ethel. Circle here, sign here.
Right.
I'm going to return this for you. Oh, thanks,
right.
Richard.
Right. Exactly.
And you think you're a sweet guy.
Yeah.
I think that's what's happening. And I think that they're doing it all over the country. And I think that they're doing it here. And I think that they're doing it in Luzerne County. And, Jamie Walsh is a great example of like 4 votes.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit. And everybody looks at that and it's like, well, that's how democracy works. And it's like,
right.
Really?
Right.
Like, should it have been that close? The closest election? And like, that's a statistical anomaly. Something's weird there. And then they don't certify it for months? That's weird.
Well, we couldn't certify it.
Because of the impending court cases?
You got it. So because of the
court... But if those court cases didn't happen, the wrong person would have won the election.
Right.
That's not democracy.
No, I know.
Like we have...
If Jamie didn't have the money to go to bat with that...
but now they're like suing him and shit.
I know.
Like, they're saying he should have never did this. It's like,
then you got some idiot deciding to find somebody to run against him. So,
I mean, look, obviously I have a relationship with Jamie and I care about him very much.
Yeah.
But I also think that like anyone has the opportunity to run against anybody.
Well, yeah, of course. I agree with that. I just think that
now whether their intentions are honorable, I don't know.
No, yeah, no. And that's the problem. That's the problem. It's like, you peed in my Cheerios, so I'm going to find somebody to run against you. You know what I mean?
The only reason you should be a vengeful candidate is because your government has screwed you, not a specific candidate.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, you're just being a dick.
Yeah, exactly. So that's my issue with that. But I don't want to get into who did it or why, and I don't want to get into any of that. But I do.
Like, I think he'll be fine.
Oh, no question. No question.
But it lets you know who the people who's the people who support whoever's running against Jamie are the people who are like, you should all keep an eye on those people.
Yeah.
because they don't have your best interest at heart.
No, definitely not. And we all know who it is. So it is what it is.
I mean, like, we all know this shit's going on.
Yeah.
Like, we all know there's fuckery. Like, look, it's not just the Democrats. Like, Republicans do it too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if Republicans, I'm sure in the red places, this shit's going on.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's people ballot harvesting and doing all this crazy shit.
Absolutely.
So it has nothing to do with like, oh, the D's do it or the R's do it. Like, let's just make sure that nobody can do it.
Yeah.
Let's make sure that no political party can have some sort of advantage over another one.
Honestly, that's the reason I didn't ask. I didn't ask in Luzerne to any of the nursing homes in Luzerne County.
Because you wanted to see if it was happening other places?
No, I knew that it was happening in other places.
R.
But if it happened in Luzerne County, I'd have to take action, and it would scare me again because I just didn't want to get attacked again.
I mean, you got through it.
I did. I got through it.
But like when people attack you,
yeah,
it's all their own fear.
I think I'm stronger for it.
I know I've gotten stronger since people have been like, "You're a Nazi."
Yeah.
I'm like, really? All right.
Oh, they called me plenty of names.
Well, I'm sure because and they made it racial.
Yeah, they did. The last thing they told me was that they implied it. They didn't actually come out and say that I was bribing the sheriff's deputies with bagels and coffee, but
that is corruption.
I know, but when they did, and then they sent this like long email about it and saying that I was calling the sheriff's deputy honey and sweetie and stuff like that, and I was using improper terms of endearment, and then I tried to bribe them with bagels and coffee, and I was just like, dude, leave me alone. I'm out of here in a month. I think they were trying to scare me away from reapplying.
But it's a salacious character assassination.
Oh yeah, no, it was purposefully. It was only to get me to not apply. That's what it was. But then you have the administration acting like the National Enquirer. Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's not your place.
No, I know.
And somebody better find out whether or not those words were spoken before you claim those words were spoken.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's fucked.
Yeah. Well, she lied to begin with. She automatically lied to begin with. The sheriff's deputy. She stated that some woman walked in with a manila envelope full of ballots. The problem is, I couldn't find her on any video. I couldn't find her on any Dropbox footage.
Who claimed that somebody walked in with a manila envelope full of ballots?
The sheriff's deputy. So
but in what context? Like, how what are we saying here about?
She said that somebody walked in with a manila envelope full of ballots and then proceeded to put them into the machine, and that she warned them that she warned.
When was this?
The machine
how do we jump around to this just so I know what we're talking about?
Just the false accusation.
Oh, false accusations. So what did that have to do with you? The manila envelope.
So I brought attention to it because I wanted to investigate it. We were reviewing Dropbox footage, and then all of a sudden, I come in one day during adjudication. We were actually doing write-in names, and I bring bagels in. And it was during this whole thing. And next thing you know, they write this report on me saying that I was trying to bribe her with bagels and coffee and call her sweetie honey and whatever else they said Didn't they always say flattery gets you nowhere? I know, right? But I mean, like, I'm like, okay, and so I sent back an email, and my email said, just leave me alone. I got one more month.
Yeah.
Leave me alone. You don't have to worry about me reapplying. Just stop it already. Okay? And finally, everything stopped.
I think they try to take people like you and push them out.
Oh, definitely. No question. Guess what? They won. I just wouldn't reapply.
Are you admitting defeat in that?
Sort of. Yeah. Sort of. I hate to say that, but my life, it will be better without their nonsense. I don't want to say I've completely lost my fight, but I feel like I should choose to fight a different way. And it's not with the election board. I went in there. I fought the good fight for no money, working, losing hours at work, working literally hundreds upon hundreds of hours during each election cycle for nothing but abuse, criticism, attacks, just literal, just a mess. And, you know, I just felt like, what am I doing this for? Am I really making that much of a difference? And so my goal now is to fight things a different way. I'm going to try to change the law so that there are protections for board members. And I'll go down to the state. I don't need county to do that. Because from the bureaucracy, there needs to be some sort of separation from county to board. And they need to not be able to touch us. And the state needs to grant us certain powers. And they need to be enforceable at the county level. And that's my new fight, that's kind of my screw you to the county, is basically me changing the rules so you can't touch the board. So you have to abide by what they say. And you have to bring things in front of them. And I know some of it will be rhetoric, and they'll just basically say, oh, well, I don't care. You know, we'll just keep doing what we're doing. And our administrative code supersedes the state. Come on. I don't know if he really knew how stupid he sounded when he said that. I'm not going to say the name, but like, I mean, really.
But this is what they do.
Yeah.
They say the things with confidence, and, you know,
yeah.
And the people that don't know any better just go along with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I knew better, but I didn't know what to say at the time, you know, and now I know how to fight it. I just have to fight it from a different aspect. And so that's my goal.
I think you got brass balls. And I think that, like, I know you're incredibly religious and spiritual. And I think that sometimes
I hate religion. I love Jesus.
Okay. I'm with you. Yeah. I think that any organized thing is corrupt and tries to mess with you. Mm-hmm. And, you know, usually most of the times it's run by people with ulterior motives to be a demigod. Mm-hmm. And I don't like that. But I think that because of your faith and because of your desire to always find truth, which I think is love, you love people and you want them to do the right thing. And, you know, I think hopefully whatever you get out of this is somebody just changing it. No one's ever going to pat you on the back. No one's going to ever say good job, you know, but hopefully what you wrote and what you sent over, you know, hopefully it helps them change things for the better and make it more honest and transparent. Anytime there's gaps in, you know, circle in the ballot, count it, there's a problem. And I've been incredibly concerned about the drop boxes. I've been incredibly concerned about the ballot machines. I think the least amount of damage you could do is paper ballots. And that is probably the most honest one of it all. But they've created an industry. We need to have these machines that we pay for. We need to have these services that we pay for. We need to have these what would you call them? Top-down guidelines that don't allow you to run a local election. And it is just open for deception. And it's open for people who are like, will find the gray areas to do the gray area things, or sometimes the outright evil things, you know, because I look at the world as like truth and deception. And if you're in the deception line, you're in the evil line.
Yeah.
You know, and I I hope that cooler heads prevail in this DR 25% against 25% that ends up making everyone think it's the 100% and it goes away. And I think it's about, we can disagree on policy, we can disagree on all this stuff, but you can't say that both sides are the devil, and it doesn't get anywhere. And it opens up the opportunities for people, Democrat and Republican, to interfere with. The more opportunities you have to interfere with elections, the more election interference there will be. I
agree.
Did you have fun?
I did.
Not bad, right?
No, not at all. Thank you.
What do you, so you've already said what you're going to do next. If anybody wants to get in contact with you or anything, is I don't want you to give away your phone number or anything, but is there any social media or anything that people can connect
to? I have one private one and one that I use all the time. And
well, let's not give away the private one.
No. So you know what? If you want to get a hold of me, the best way to get a hold of me is my Gmail, Alyssa, ALYSSAPA, 7 @gmail.com. I will be happy. I have 2 copies of this confidential and redacted. So if you'd like a copy of my report, I can certainly send that to you. If you have questions, concerns, anything, everybody's always been able to get a hold of me. Doesn't matter. Half the valley has my phone number anyway. So, not that I would give it out, but, freely, but,
Do not give out your phone number right now.
No,
okay,
no. Good. But, listen, 30 to 50 phone calls before an election.
I'm sure a lot of people have them.
Yeah. So, but if you do have concerns or anything, obviously I'm not on the board anymore, but if you think there's something that I might be forgetting that you think I could change, because I am planning on making some trips down to Harrisburg, working with legislatures and stuff like that. So I'd like to hear from you. Yeah.
You're the best. You're a good person.
Thank you.
Thank you for fighting all the shit that you fought. And
thank you.
So, all right. Everybody have a good week.